That's WPIX TV 11 Live, New York City. It's 7:30.
This is Channel 11's award-winning Action News with Pat Harper, Steve Bosch, Jerry Gerard, Bob Harris, and the Action News team.
Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, July 16, 1980. I'm Pat Harper alongside Bill Jorgens and what's happening on Action News Evening Report to the 7:30 p.m. report. 3 months after agreement on a Thursday, Transport Workers Union contract, the New York City Transit Authority has not realized any of its productivity gains that predicted when the contract was negotiated, and officials said yesterday that there will be no gains of at least 2 months, 2 more months. There, in an auto report to the committee on the board of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, the Transit Authority's parent agency, John D. Simpson, executive director of the MTA, said that the signed copies of the contract were not received until July 7th. The report by Mr. Simpson came as conditions on the subway and buses continued to deteriorate. The Transit Authority acknowledged that the scores of trains are routinely failing in service at the height of the rush hours. Passengers complain about the filth delays or broken or inadequate air conditioning equipment. And officials in the Metropolitan Transportation Authority assert that many others problems can be traced to a legacy of inefficiency. In his report yesterday, Mr. Simpson particularly blamed what he called a union resistance to the productivity changes, but they were requested by the MTA, but Johnny Law, the president of the union, said in an interview.
Correct. I'll take not so current slang for 800, please.
A 31-year-old pedestrian hit by a bicycle going the wrong way on 3rd Avenue last Thursday died of head injuries yesterday at Lenox Hill Hospital without having regained consciousness. Action News reporter Peter Wiggins has a report. The pedestrian, Virginia Rennie, an employee of the Sotheby Park Bennett International Realty Corporation, was crossing the avenue at 83rd Street, a block east of her home, shortly after 11 a.m. when she was struck. A witness told the police that the bicycle's rider going and stopping against traffic was a man 18, 20 years old. He left the scene before the police arrived. The police said that he could be charged with criminally negligent homicide, but that single witness interviewed had not been able to provide a detailed description. That woman was the second in 5 weeks known to have died after being struck by a bicycle on Manhattan Street. A 43-year-old woman, Mary Ellinger, died on June 9th, 5 days after having been hit at 5th Avenue and 18th Street while on the way to the Barnes & Noble bookstore from her home a few doors west of the avenue. She too died of a head injury without regaining consciousness. James Smith, who heads the bicycle commuters in New York, said yesterday that Miss Ramey's death
That's it. I'll take not so current slang for that.
Underscores the unfortunate fact that bicycles are not recognized for what they are, serious vehicles capable of doing harm. He called for registration of bicycles and a requirement that carry cycle.
Was it bread basket? Yes.
Let's need to carry identification. There are reports yesterday of 2 other recent incidents of serious nature of persons struck by cyclists, and one in Central Park and another in the Upper East Side. Both victims said to be elderly women. One woman died of whom remains in critical condition. The police could not confirm the incidents and details were not available. Neither the police nor the national safety groups kept records of bicycle accidents unless a motor vehicle is involved, so it's difficult to determine the extent of the danger to pedestrians from reckless cyclists. Representatives of bicycle safety groups said that the police have given a low priority to get them moving violations of the traffic laws by cyclists. However, the city's Department of Transportation has begun an educational drive to persuade cyclists to observe traffic regulations. Public service television and radio messages have been broadcast and cards being displayed in the subways and buses. Miss Rennie, who had worked in the Community Relations Department of the Chase Manhattan Bank before joining Sotheby Park Bennett early this year, was a graduate of Street Fire College. Her parents, John Rennie of Arkansas City, Kansas, and Helen Rennie of Dallas, who arrived in New York after being informed that her daughter
Unfortunate entry into the world.
Injuries by police over the weekend, said yesterday that funeral services will be held on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Church Heavenly Rest at 5th Avenue and 90th Street.
To the lead, but
Peter Wiggins, Channel 11 Action News in Manhattan here. In Atlantic City, a few days after classes ended at Atlantic City High School last month, Grace Stiver, a history teacher, began his summer job as a craft cooper at the Boardwalk Regency Hotel Casino, but Mr. Stiver, a high school teacher for the last 9 years, says his summer job is likely to become his permanent one. Steve Bosch's report. The 31-year-old Mr. Stiver is married to another teacher that they are beginning to think about having children. He makes $14,200 a year teaching his pay. Yes, a croupier that is most the rate double on a nap. It's coming down to the case of teachers simply not being able to live here with the cost of housing and other things, he said. and interviewed from his home in Brigantine. Teachers being forced into the casinos or into the economic realities. He said, I'm going to have to come to grips with the situation in 8 or 9 weeks. Mr. Sevier is not alone. Dozens of teachers from around the Atlantic City area are working in the Resort Street Boardwalk Hotel casinos this summer, and most of them are not expected to return to their classrooms in the fall. The economic lesson in casino gambling has been particularly instructed to low-paid teachers in resort areas struggling school system. Officials are now conducting a survey of teachers who have left their jobs and say their preliminary findings indicate that they only have 12 to have left to join the casinos in the last 2 years, but teachers and other educators dispute that figure. Last month, at the hearing before Joseph P. Lordy, a chairman of the New Jersey Casino Control Commission on the effects of casino gambling on Atlantic City Social Services, Vincent Cattillion, the county superintendent of schools, testified that at least 95 teachers had left county teaching to work for the casinos. School officials said many teachers report a steady flow of educators, administrators, and non-skilled personnel from school systems in the area to the moving casinos. They say that they fear that the drain could seriously affect their educational programs in the near future. Administrators also fear that some proposed relocation of some school facilities that are less than a block from the casinos could be halted because of the soared cost of land as high as to $1 million acres are caused by real estate speculation and casino development.
On the beach.
The overall economic impact of casinos in Atlantic City has been good, said Dr. Jack Hansen and Atlantic City Superintendent Schools. Svay Vosh, Channel 11 Action News.
Jerome.
Although the Conservative National Review and the Liberal New Republic are polls publicly as journalists in opinion they have joined forces to offset the impact of the increased proposal rates by setting up an independent foundation for the fundraising. The Foundation and Corporation for Maintaining Editorial Diversity would operate as a non-profit charitable organization in much the same manner as the United Way and other philanthropic enterprises receiving and dispensing contributions.
You gotta love these stories.
The founders have incorporated the foundation in Massachusetts and are now requesting a classification by Internal Revenue Service as an educational and cultural organization so that the contributions can be tax deductible. Rather than postal rates have been a major problem in the targeted lobbying efforts for publications of all sizes for a number of years, and larger magazines have tried a number of ways of dealing with meal expenses and including cutbacks in mail subscriptions and use of the private delivery service. Stems in conjunction with the other publications. Robert A. Cohen, the general manager and the publisher of the New Republic, said that the new foundation will explore the chance to get a reduced rate by the magazines from a postal service, but that such reduction was not likely. Kent Rhodes, president of the Magazine Publisher Association, said that the initiative by the National Review and the New Republic appeared to represent a novel approach to the rise in postal costs. He noted that the latest bid for higher rates to be imposed next Friday or next February or March to the postal authorities were asking him a lesser rise in the postage charge to magazines and newspapers than for the first class mail. We think that's correctly added because we think that they've been overcharged recently. Senator Daniel Patrick Monahan, Democrat of New York, agreed to head that.
And Steve Largent on this team.
Parents had no homeowners in Lawton, Queens, believing that the city's officials are giving a low priority to the area's problems, which drug addiction and crime have decided to combat for the problems of their own. They form a youth group and are trying to raise money among themselves and the philanthropic and government sources. In the South Bronx, residents have formed the Banana Kelly, a community improvement association which will take housing in DeVale Avenue and in Kell Street areas. In Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, block organizations have mobilized tenants and small homeowners in a group that advocates the management and in some cases the ownership of multi-family dwellings and the people who live in them. These residents and community groups are part of a growing movement of the local self-help organization development in recent years both in New York City and across the nation. We are seeing the decentralization of the local government, and said Mary Kraussgrove, the director of the Midwood Kings Highway Development Corporation in Brooklyn, and since New York City has grown too large to fill the needs in many communities, we are taking the ombudsman and role in the temperature to save a healthy community. While the most active of the New York City self-help groups are found in the poor Black and Hispanic neighborhoods, the movement has not been restricted to the poor. Block associations in the middle-income community are among the city's strongest self-help organizations, and some congregations are predominantly white middle-class block associations have been in recent years because full-time community development agencies.
Macy's Parade float.
In news around the city, a 31-year-old Queens woman was arrested yesterday and charged with the murder of Veronica A. Lane, whose body was found in her car in early Monday at 170th Street and Riverside Drive near the George Washington Bridge. The suspect, Carol Ann Novak, was arrested about 5:30 a.m. at the 34th Precinct Station House and not far from where Mrs. Lane's body was found. She had been asked by the police to come in for questioning for the shooting of the 36-year-old Ridgefield Park, New Jersey resident who held a managerial position with a newspaper, The American Banker. The suspect, an unemployed Bombard,
Joe Montana.
Lives at 9147 A Road in Woodhaven, Queens. Captain Eugene Burke of the Manhattan Detective Squad said that Mrs. Novak, who neighbors said is a divorced mother of 5 children, admitted that she shot Mrs. Lane in the back at the end, and while he would not speculate on the motive of the slaying, he said that the two women had known each other for some months because they frequented many of the East Side bars. Jerry DeBlair was began yesterday in the trial of the New York University professor Dr. John Bentner. Janet Cho was charged with having to use his anthropology laboratory to manufacture illegal drugs.
Glass of Sweet Dreams Winery's Blue Moon Blueberry. They boast it's full of these
The jurors cut the case after they received final instructions from the Judge Charles L. Bryant and Federal District Court of Manhattan. The jury adjourned at 5 p.m. and will resume deliberations this morning. Dr. Bentner Janet has been indicted on October 4th and charged that he manufactured LSD and another drug for profit in his university laboratory at 25 Waverly Place. His trial began 2 weeks ago.
Vineyards invites you to experience in Texas.
Bayshore, Long Island. The Suffolk County Police said highly toxic chemicals had apparently been taken from a local exterminating company during a Berkeley Monday night, and that they could have been fatally ingested or absorbed throughout the skin. A police spokesman said the quorum case contained 6 poisonous pest control chemicals was discovered missing from the office of Adios Exterminators yesterday morning. Among the chemicals in the case were a pat each of chlorine, Dazian and Durban and Baygon, and 5 pounds of loose warfare. Authorities said the chemicals are not particularly valuable but could be dangerous. After finding the vital collided HC-22 vets tested a dump in Abaji last week, the Federal Department of Protection Agency announced that it would be immediately install charcoal filters on all 65 vents to the side of it eventually with submission that the car is rigid. AG also said it would test the area that several homes in the nearby Whirlpool Elementary School, which was closed last May after similar findings in the study of the town of Islip. Federal Agency Regional Administrator Charles Ward said a $100,000 program installed the filters that conduct the tests. Charles Bill, the regional director of the State Department of Environmental Conservation, said the new test results were anticipated to be insisted that there would be no general public health threat still.
Compact SUV to offer an EPA estimated 32 highway miles per hour.
Ronald Reagan standing at jail are afforded the edge closer to naming a running mate, but they stopped short of a former officer and an offer and sources in the Reagan campaign and said the former president deflected a proposal without category rejecting it. On the second day of the convention of the array of speakers led by former Secretary of State Henry A. Kissinger saying that Barry Goldwater opened a wide attack on President Carter and his policies. Mr. Reagan moved in the end opposition from some women to the Republican Party platform to pledge and fight sex-based discrimination and to promote equality and the opportunity for women. In a meeting with the Republican women, he said that he would not hesitate to name a random mate who supported the proposed federal equal rights amendment and vowed to name the women in the post all levels of Reagan administration. Benjamin Hooks delivered an address in a hastily scheduled appearance. The executive director of the National Association of Advancement of Colored People called the party to make sure that the American values of equality of opportunity and guaranteed he was at the program after black delegates threatened to walk out. The U.S. will sell missiles to Britain officials and not. President Carter informed that Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher on Monday that the United States would supply the Trident 1 system, the most advanced submarine launch rocket now deployed by the American Navy. Richard Quinn has multiple also scored and American doctors who examined the 28-year-old breast cancer held in the house of Iran for 250 days. They did not indicate the severity of nervous system disorder, but said that a complete recovery was possible. Zenko Suzuki was chosen to lead Japan's governing Liberal Democratic Party. In a 30-minute session, the 424 party members of the parliament named him party president and nominated him for prime minister. Egypt and Israel coalesced in a public after 3 days of meetings to decide an agenda for the resumption of negotiations next month on the issue of the Palestinian autonomy. Boutros Ghali of Egypt and Shmuel Tamir of Israel questioned from the reporters over the Israeli security concerns and the status of Jerusalem. South Korea asked 4,700 officials from the post in the central government and in Seoul and in provincial administrations. They were removed in accepting bribes, disclosing secret information, incompetence and indolence, and being physically unfit. Sanan's founder pleaded no contest along with 2 other members of the drug rehabilitation organization to charge the conspiracy with committed murder with a rattlesnake. Charles E. Diedrich, a 67-year-old founder who was said that he is in Pearl, agreed not to take part in the mansion settlement, and prosecutors agreed not to seek a prison term. Representative Richard Kelly was not divided. A federal grand jury became the 6th member of the Congress to the first Republican to be charged in a federal bureau of investigation inquiry. The indictment accused the Florida congressman of accepting a $25,000 cash back from an undercover agent with the expectation of receiving $75,000 more.
Ed, who's Mike Tyson? Correct.
Federal funds being For heat wave victims are being made available upon orders of President Carter. The sweltering temperatures have claimed nearly 700 lives in a 16-state heat belt. The funds will provide low-income individuals with transportation, heat relief standards, and fans and air conditioners. Alright, what it now? Here now, Bob Harris. Thank you very much, Bill and Pat. Current conditions at 7 o'clock reports. 95 degrees out temperature right now.